Long ago, the world was filled with people. Just as it is today, cities were growing, families were multiplying, and life seemed to continue as normal. But beneath all of this, something was very wrong. The hearts of the people had turned away from what was good. Violence began to spread from one place to another. Kindness became rare, and truth was ignored. Day after day, people chose their own ways instead of what was right. The earth, once filled with beauty and purpose, was now filled with corruption and darkness that continued to grow without stopping. But even in a world that had turned so far away from what was right, there was still one man who was different. His name was Noah. While others followed the crowd, Noah chose a different path. He lived with integrity. He listened to God. He remained faithful, even when it seemed like no one else cared about what was right anymore. Every day, he walked in obedience, holding on to his faith in a world that had completely forgotten about God. God saw everything that was happening on the earth. Nothing was hidden from him. He saw the violence, the corruption, the suffering, and the choices people were making, and it grieved him deeply. The world had become so far from what it was meant to be. But in the middle of all this, God saw Noah. He saw his faithfulness, his obedience, and his heart, and because of Noah, God chose to make a way not just for him, but for the future of life on earth. God spoke to Noah with a message that must have been difficult to understand. He told him that a great flood was coming, one that would cover the entire earth and wash away everything that had become corrupt. It was something that had never happened before, but along with the warning, God gave Noah instructions. He told him to build an ark, a massive boat that would carry him, his family, and animals to safety. It was not just a task, it was a test of faith. Noah did not question. He did not argue. He obeyed. He began building the ark exactly as God had instructed. Day after day, under the heat of the sun, he worked tirelessly. The structure began to rise, piece by piece. People saw what he was doing and began to laugh. They mocked him, not understanding his purpose. To them, it seemed foolish. But Noah continued, focused, determined, and faithful to what God had told him. As time passed, the ark grew larger and larger. It stood as something unusual, something that did not make sense to the people around it. Yet Noah did not stop. Every hammer strike, every piece of wood placed, was an act of obedience. Even when surrounded by doubt and laughter, he held on to his faith. He trusted that what God had said would come to pass, even if no one else believed it. Then the moment came when everything was ready. God told Noah it was time. He was to bring his family into the ark, and then something incredible began to happen. Animals started coming one pair at a time. From every direction they came. Large animals, small animals, birds of the air, creatures of the land, all moving toward the ark as if guided by an unseen hand. One by one, the animals entered the ark. The sound of movement filled the air as life itself gathered inside. Noah and his family watched in awe as everything happened exactly as God had said. And when all was ready, they stepped inside. Then something powerful happened. The door of the ark was shut, not by Noah, but by God. At first, everything was still. The sky was quiet, and nothing seemed different. But then, slowly, the rain began to fall. At first, it was gentle, but it did not stop. The rain grew heavier, stronger, louder. Day turned into night, and night into day. But the rain continued without pause. The waters began to rise, streams turned into rivers, and rivers overflowed their banks. The ground slowly disappeared beneath the water. What once stood firm was now covered. The rain continued, and the flood spread across the entire earth. It was a moment unlike anything the world had ever seen. But inside the ark, there was safety. Though the storm raged outside, Noah and his family were protected. The ark lifted above the waters, floating as everything else disappeared below, inside. There was fear, there was uncertainty, but there was also faith. They trusted that God would carry them through. For many days, the waters covered everything. But slowly, the rain stopped, the storm faded, and the waters began to go down, little by little. The earth started to appear again. The ark came to rest on solid ground, marking the beginning of something new. Noah waited patiently, watching and trusting. Then, one day, he sent out a dove to see if the land was ready. When it returned with an olive leaf, it was a sign of hope. Life was returning. The earth was being restored. The storm had passed. When they finally stepped out of the ark, everything was different. The air was fresh, the land was new. And in that moment, God placed a rainbow in the sky of promise. A reminder that He would never flood the earth again. And through it all, one truth remained: faith. Obedience and trust in God can carry you through even the greatest storms of life.